Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my first viewing reaction to Doctor Who's 2023 Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road. First of all, apologies if I don't feel or seem that well. I've had a cold for the last few days, and I've got a bit of a bunged up here. Second of all, Earth Agents Diamonds for Whoever is almost finished. I just got to finish doing the music and put it all together, maybe a few extra bits, some sound effects, and a cupcake has to appear at some point in it. But I'm hoping to get that done before the end of the year, so it will remain a 2023 episode, and it will still probably be a Christmas special, even though it wouldn't have dropped today, sadly. And I don't think it's going to drop tomorrow. It could easily be a New Year's special, but New Year's Eve rather than New Year's Day. But hopefully it will come a bit before that. Fingers crossed, we'll work on it. Maybe not tomorrow, if there is time. Otherwise, but certainly throughout the rest of the week up to New Year's Eve, and hopefully it'll be out by then at the latest. I do not want it going into 2024. That is reserved for future episodes, hopefully, or at least the next one, at the very least, which needs a rewrite. I originally did. I have written it. It needs a complete rewrite or a near complete rewrite. Because plans are changing on that, partly because it was originally designed as the Christmas special, as Diamonds for Whoever was actually supposed to be for last month. So it's going to be reworked, for starters, and the story's going to be changed a bit as well. I can reveal that it previously was basically a second version of Wrath of the Daleks originally. It's still going to be a, hopefully, house-centered action story, but we're going to be changing the villains and changing some other stuff as well. However, stuff tying in with further episodes later down the line is more or less staying the same, or at the very least being adapted to fit a little bit better. That's the plan for episode 19, due sometime in 2024 for Earth Agents. But first, episode 18, Diamonds for Whoever, will come out sometime at the end of December 2023, later this week, before or by New Year's Eve, or on New Year's Eve at the latest. Right, so with those updates out the way, Doctor Who, The Church on Ruby Road, the 2023 Christmas special, the fourth of the 2023 specials, or fifth if you count Destination Skaro, although I will be counting this as an episode of Series 14, Season 40, slash Season 1. I'm still not happy about that. I'm just going to stick to calling it Series 14 slash Season 40. I'd rather call it Season 40 than Season 1, in honesty. But, Series 14 slash Season 1 slash Season 40. Or Season 1 slash Series 14 slash Season 40. Season 40! I still can't believe it's going to be Season 40. It's wow. How many other shows do you know that have had 40 seasons in its lifetime? Considering it's the same show that started back in 1963. How many shows do you know that have had 40 seasons? Scratch that. Season 41's in production. How many shows do you know have 41 seasons? Mind-boggling. But anyway, yeah. Season 40 next year. Series 14 for the revival. Season 1 for this new era or whatnot. I'm still going to call it Series 14 or Season 40. Again, rather call it Season 40 than Season 1. So, but yeah, I'll be counting this episode more of a Series 14 episode, so it's not going to be tied in with the 60th anniversary specials ranking when we get to that, or the reviews, as that'll be mainly because that's the 14th Doctor and this is the 15th Doctor, so it's Doctor split. But also, this is in the Series 14 production block, whilst the 60th specials were their own. Yeah, they're technically Series 14 specials as well, but like Series 14 specials, mini-series, like the Series 13 ones were, and Series 4 and Series 7 ones as well before that. But this one is more like Voyage of the Damned, as a Series 4 episode, as opposed to the Series 4 specials, even though this one more or less comes after the last few, in a way. Sorry, I was about to sneeze. I thought I was about to sneeze. Anyway, so preamble out of the way, The Church on Ruby Road. I found this to be a really fun, really entertaining story. As I mentioned in my mini reaction I filmed about roughly an hour ago, nearly an hour ago. Um, I don't know if I've smiled this much whilst just watching an episode out of pure enjoyment outside of fangasms, like when I watched Day of the Doctor and Power of the Doctor. I talked about that in my One Diamond episode video for Day, contribution to that video series, multi-fan video series. I've probably smiled quite a bit through the 60th anniversary specials, especially Star Beast when it first one, because it's the first one of that mini series. 14th Doctor, David Tennant's 60th anniversary just passed. Still in that anniversary feeling, mini series of specials, celebrations all around, and the fact that the show was back. The following two episodes, enjoyed them a bit more. Of course, I enjoyed all three really well, but I don't think I smiled or was just having so much fun as much. Just the feels and the grin as much since that besides Day and Power that I can remember. I mean, yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed the previous three episodes, but this one was just such a blast, so fun, really enjoyable. Yeah, it's just such a feel-good story. It's a simple but effective story, which really, really helps as a post-regeneration story. And I feel like, as I said in the mini reaction, those are the best for post-regeneration stories, of just getting off the ground, as well as also for Christmas specials. I think this is easily one of my favorite Christmas specials. It's just my first viewing. I'm gonna rewatch the episode a couple of times at least. I'll watch it again later in the week, and then watch it like another one or two more times after that, before a review. But by the way, we have not fully decided on that Universal's review plan yet. So series 14 specials reviews are still a little off. But I will have a bit more time in January, so stay tuned. But yeah, I feel like this was a really fun and engaging story, and I think, like as I was saying, it's just been the first reading, but depending on how I feel on future viewings, this story's already become one of my favorite Christmas specials and festive specials. Um, like if I was to rank them, I think this one's currently a contender for top 5 or top 4 even Christmas specials, and definitely top 5 for festive. 5 or 6 at least. So yeah, it's definitely, yes, festive, counting the New Year ones as well. For the new series at least. Classic series, they were episodes that aired on Christmas Day in one episode's case, and a few on New Year's Day. About 3 cases, although one of those and the Christmas ones are both missing. But the other 2 New Year ones are viewable. It was it? Yeah. It was those being Daleks Master Plan Part 7 and 8, and Day of the Daleks Part 1 and Faceless Ones Part 1, respectively. And then the new series, we've got the Christmas specials from each year from 05 to 17, and now 23, and New Year's specials 19, 21, and 22, plus one episode of Series 12 on New Year's Day in 2020. Sadly, Spyfall Part 2 does not count as a Christmas or New Year episode. It's just kind of a regular Sunday episode, which was a shame. Darn you, BBC, you denied having Spyfall Part 1 on Christmas Day, and we could have Part 2 as a New Year episode. It wasn't that scary. It could have easily been a Christmas episode. Last Christmas is scarier, and that aired on Christmas Day. Good grief. I don't know what was going through the BBC's head during 2018, 2019, when they made some decisions, but whatever. That's a topic for another day. But yeah, this episode is, like, I've watched it once, and it's already a potential top 5 festive special, top 4 Christmas special. It's contenders. Its rivals are the Christmas Invasion, Voyage of the Damned, and Return of Doctor Mysterio for just the Christmas ones, and those plus Eve of the Daleks and Resolution for the New Year ones as well, for the festive ones in total. Yes, I'm including Jodie Whittaker episodes. Whatever. Yeah, like, I enjoy quite a few of the Jodie Whittaker era episodes. So what? But into all seriousness, yeah, there are episodes from each year I enjoy, and episodes from each year I don't quite enjoy, or at the very least not as much as others. So yeah, and heck, even Revolution of the Daleks and Spyfall Part 1 are probably kind of like mid-center on the list. Probably. I'll work it out later down the line. Who knows? We do know we're going to get another Christmas special next year, so we'll see how that one turns out, and we'll probably get one in 2025. But yeah, as for this Christmas special, really, really fun, really good. And again, another really great post-regeneration story. Again, a contender for best one, at least for the new series. It's contending with 11th Hour, Christmas Invasion again, and Woman Who Fell to Earth. But it probably would top, well, depending on what I would count, for the 14th Doctor, Destination Skaro, and the Star Beast, and also Deep Breath and Rose. But yeah, I think it's definitely, for the new series ones, it's definitely top 3 or 4. Overall, it's got a bit more competition because of we've also got Spearhead from Space and Power of the Daleks as well. So it might not quite make the top 5 for the whole all of them, but or maybe, I don't know, or just about make it at least top 5 or 6, maybe. Yeah, it's yeah, as I said, really fun enjoyment. Quite a bit. I know I'm not quite going into too much detail, but then again, that's more for what the review is. But what I will say is that I think Ncuti Gatwa's, after like a glimpse of what he can do in the Giggle, and he was really good in that. But in this, he's shot off. Like maybe this is the post regeneration story where the Doctor's like whoosh right from the get go. But then again, as said, we did have a bit of a brief glimpse in the last one with that. Then again, I could say the same with David Tennant's 14th Doctor because, well, firstly, Destination Skaro, and secondly, it's David Tennant, but as a as another Doctor, as opposed to the 10th Doctor, as another separate incarnation. So okay, maybe 14's also kind of off as well. So yeah, in terms of the ones who are like off straight away, either as their very first appearance or after a maybe not quite there yet post regeneration scene, it's still Tom Baker and Matt Smith. But in terms of overall, and William Hartnell as well, I guess, and Christopher Eccleston actually, but those are more further that was their first scene. But in terms of overall, I think we can add David Tennant's second time and Ncuti Gatwa to the list. Absolutely amazing. He is so good. Looking forward to seeing how the Doctor's going to be more next series. He looks absolutely brilliant. I think we're going to really enjoy his Doctor as well. Possible new favourite? Only time will tell. I was won over by the 11th Doctor fairly easily and fairly quickly. So, and whilst the 12th Doctor's character took some time for me, Capaldi as an actor became one of the top tier actors ranking wise early on into his second season. I also really enjoyed Ruby Sunday and Millie Gibson, her portrayal of the character. It's yeah, like I think I instantly like this companion more than some of the previous companions, with the possible exception of Graham, played by Bradley Walsh, and Dan, played by John Bishop. But I think for many of the other ones, it's taken a little bit of time, or at least by the end of the episode, I'm on board. But Ruby Sunday was kind of like on board anyway. Straight away. I think the exception again is when Donna came back in the specials recently. But in terms of, and also I guess in Partners in, well, actually no, Partners in Crime, it was the reinvention of the character. Well, not quite a reinvention, making her more likable and more fun to watch after Runaway Bride. But in terms of like first appearance, getting to know them over the course of the episode, I was kind of more on board with her sooner than I think most of the previous companions, with the exception of Donna for the 60th specials, and also the older male companions of the Chibnall era, those being Graham and Dan. Well, actually, maybe more to Graham than Dan, but I still really like Dan. I say older male companions because Ryan was a younger male companion. And yeah, I think Ruby Sunday is going to be a really great companion. Yes, we've got the mystery about her. Who was her birth mother? Why did she leave her at the church on Ruby Road? Aha, title reference. What's going on here? Who's Anita Dobson's character? This is the second episode with a mid-credit scene. RTD is taking a leaf out of Chris Chibnall's book with that, see Village of the Angels. But yeah, although this time it's more for setting up the future as opposed to a scene that could easily have been included a little bit sooner, but or didn't really need to be worried about being cut or could have been saved for the next episode. Just being given a final placement before the credits finished. Whilst here it's more of a nod wink to the camera about what could happen next season. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out with Ruby's character and the mystery. But right here, right now, she's really fun, really great character, and her backstory and current situation are all really great stuff. And the two have such a great chemistry with each other. This is, yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. I think this is going to be another great Doctor Companion pairing, not just for the ages, but just general. Yeah, it's going to work too well. And also, Ruby's family is also really good. Carla's really fun, really nice, great character. And what was this? The grandmother's name? Cherry. Oh, she's a hoot. She's really funny. I enjoyed her, even though she didn't have much screen time. But I think she'll be the comic relief character of the family going forward. And the goblins are an interesting villain, with the practical costumes and makeup, and then they'll just CG them on with the larger characters because the goblins are small. But yeah, they're pretty cool designs. Interesting Doctor Who goes from goblins, but it's Christmas, so having a more fantasy villain this time round makes a lot of sense. And as they discussed in the podcast, and it's similar to what like the toy maker says his legions are coming, and then you get goblins as the next villain in the TV series at least. So yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like fantastical creatures tied in with a celestial being who likes to play games does make a lot of sense. Yeah, goblins are more of a Halloween villain, but I think the way these ones look and perform, they definitely do fit like a kind of a Christmas feel. Besides, we've had a film called the film's Gremlins. They're kind of like sort of goblin characters. Well, not quite goblins, but when they go evil, thing. They're like, well, I haven't seen the films actually. I have to be honest. But they're like, I guess they're sort of goblin-esque when they go evil. But even more evil than the ones in here, from what I'm aware of. So yes, those are Christmas films, or at least set around Christmas. At least the first one. So um, like it does make sense having goblins. The Goblin King animatronic puppets thing is really cool, and I'm so glad they're using more practical effects for these specials basically. Like this, like with Beat the Meat, yeah, there's some CG thrown in there and like making the goblins smaller, and probably some final touches here and there. But I'm so glad that going back to a more practical route and merging that with the visual effects after the like there was a lot of CGI effects. I've mentioned this quite a few times during Jodie's era, especially Series 12 and even more so Series 13, and it kind of got a bit too much personally because like I like the CG, but it looks quite obviously visual effects. We do see some of that in these specials as well. Not so much this one, but some of the previous three. And B, like as I was saying, we've got quite a lot. Obviously CG, and B, we got quite a lot, especially in Flux, which kind of makes sense because of COVID. But that's why Eve of the Daleks was one of my favourites episodes of the series 13 and specials lineup. And one of my favourite episodes of that series was that it did go a bit more kind of, it was in more or less one location, just parts of that location being a storage centre. And whilst it did have quite a bit of visual effects, it was mostly for the Dalek guns and the force field and the explosions. But it kept it fairly more practical than most of the other episodes, either that had just come before or would follow. So yeah, to have it go back to having a bit more of it's a bit like with the Star Wars prequels and sequels where they were very CG heavy, in the prequels, and then the sequels were kind of trying to do a mix of both. And I feel like that's what has happened here um, with the current series. Geez, and the criticisms back in the classic series was that the practical effects were shit and the visual effects were shit. Um, well, not necessarily shit, but dated or old or didn't look that good. Like apart from a few exceptions, they would still the visual effects definitely got better as time went on. And in the 60s, you can't really tell as much because it's in black and white. But the 70s, um, yeah, the visual effects were pretty naff. And the set design, the sets, I think, again, probably better in the 60s because it was black and white. You can't really tell as well, but there was also some strong ones in the 70s and 80s, but there was also some shoddy ones as well. So yeah, so we've come a long way from the Doctor Who, Classic Who's reputation for dodgy sets and visual effects. Um, but it still suffers from some of that even to this day. More so in the visual effects for the previous era. Um, Not so much for the sets. The set designs look really bloody good and continue to be. Um, some of the practical design also makes it feel a bit more realistic as well, considering this is a fantasy series. And yeah, does it look a little bit cheap? No, I think it looks fairly good. I think it looks really great on screen. Um, Oh, and I really enjoyed the song as well. The Goblin song. That's such a bop. It's so good. And even better is that the Doctor and Ruby got to sing a few lines afterwards as well when they made their escape. It was so good. Yeah, this is such a fun episode, and it's also good, quite character driven as well. Once they get past the escaping the goblins, they then have some good character moments. But there's good character moments throughout as well. But yeah, I like how the episode kind of does that. Some character moments, and then you got more Goblin trying to do stuff, and what they tried to do afterwards is really interesting as well, and pretty cool. I will say this with the I enjoyed the new gloves, the that because the Doctor does hold on to a lot of stuff, so these are pretty good and new gadget stuff. But um I'm with the new sonic screwdriver. I'm not quite as impressed. I remember like just over 2 weeks ago, I was in Cambridge with my friend Ollie Newton, Oliver Stafford, as they'll be credited in Diamonds for Whoever, because we were doing some filming out there for that episode, and we were at the Wagamama, and I was on the phone whilst we were there. I think it was after. I think it was either before or after we started eating. But saw the pictures of the new Sonic, the reveal, and I was like, okay, that's different, that's new. Um, right, okay. So yeah, it doesn't quite look like the traditional Sonic. It's quite different. It's more of a remote control. I think Philip Hawkins mentioned that, or at least in the thumbnail. And yeah, it's very different. And honestly, I think most of us probably would have preferred the 14th Doctor Sonic staying on a bit longer. Maybe the more chrome version that the limited edition toy was. um, then again, I guess Character Options would have to release the toy a third time, not including re-releases, but rename it as the 15th Doctor Sonic Screwdriver, but with a few tweaks to update it to 15, specifically like the raw random prop up, which is a really nice touch to this Sonic, by the way. So yeah, it's a bit of a out there um, Sonic design. It's very different to traditional ones. Um, yeah, I don't dislike it. I think it's a bit of an odd choice, but it could work either way, so long as it's easy to use, and also the plot's not too reliant on it, and it's not overused or overpowered, which was sort of a fear this 14th Doctor ones kind of gave me in the Star Beast, because it did look like it had all these new upgrades that make it even more like a like it'd be relied upon. And then while Blue Yonder, it was kind of taken out the picture fairly early on, so the Doctor was out it, and then the Giggle, it was used sparingly. So actually, that is probably another reason why we wanted to keep seeing that Sonic on board for a bit longer, is because we only really had one and a bit proper episodes with it. I mean, it was in the Giggle, I think, but again, used a bit more sparingly. So again, another reason why we wanted to see that Sonic a bit more is because we didn't see it in as many episodes. 3, and even then, one of them not really with it as much. So, even if we saw quite a bit of it in the Star Beast, but still. But yeah, interesting new design. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, overall, as I mentioned, I really enjoyed this episode, and I thought it was really fun. I will definitely be checking it out again soon for my second viewing. But as far as first viewings go, this is one of the really enjoyed it, really fun, entertaining, smiley face viewing. Do I like it more than the previous specials? Yes, in the case of the Star Beast, and also Destination Scar, if we count that. I'm not sure if I prefer it to Wild Blue Yonder or the Giggle yet, at least on of a objective term. Subjectively, I do really like it, and I think it is quite close between these three. Like I said, I do think it is better than the Star Beast and Destination Scaru, but I think I would still put the other two above it, at least on a subjective level, yes. As for objective, again, I think I'm going to rewatch them a few more times before I make that decision. At the moment, the Giggle is still my favourite, but by the time I do the 2023 specials ranking, which this one won't be included because that will be included for the series 14 episodes ranking, but I think by the time we come to the 23 specials ranking, or the series 14 specials ranking, whatever I call it, Wild Blue Yonder could easily be in the top spot. So it depends how I feel after more viewings. But currently, this one, as I said, I think I would take this one above Star Beast and also Destination Scara if I counted that. I think it's still below Wild Blue Yonder and the Giggle, but it's definitely on a very close, if not equal pegging to those ones. So yeah, absolutely. Even though it's maybe like middle ranking, if I counted Destination Scara, it's middle ranking out of 5. But it could easily go a bit further up. Who knows? And if not, well, hey, it's still a really really good episode, and I responded to it very positively. Um, so yeah, absolutely great. The coming soon trailer also looks really great. I'm going to watch it again after this video, and yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the Beatles episode because the Beatles are one of my favorite bands, if not my personal favorite, or definitely one of them. Jinx Monsoon's delicious new villain's going to be in it. We're going to have Jonathan Goff as a character in a Regency episode with Torchwood alumni in Indina Vera. I probably butchered that. As the villainess, the Duchess, or at least she's supposedly a villainess. And we'll have a couple of other episodes. The next one, or one of the future ones, is going to be on this spaceship with this creature on board, as we saw in the clip at the end of Unleashed. The episode of Unleashed that accompanied this episode. So whether that'll be it'll probably be the next episode, but it could easily be a future episode. So yeah. By the way, it does look like the future is going to be the trailers are after the episode's finished. So I mean, I haven't watched the Blu-rays of the specials yet, so do comment down below if they do have the trailers right afterwards. But since they're BBC One trailers, I don't think they are. It's not likely they'll be on iPlayer as well. Please, 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 Russell, please have the next time trailers at the end of the episodes from the next one onwards, even if it's just before the final caption saying BBC, Bad Wolf, Disney Plus, etc. partnerships thing, the black screen at the very end with all of the logos and stuff. Even if it's just before that, like the end of the Jodie Whittaker episodes, have the next time trailers usually at the end before the final scene, at the final bit with all like executive producers, BBC, etc. at the end. Even if they did that, we'll be happy. Yeah. But please put them back at the end of the end credits or at the start of the end credits. Please just put them back in the episodes as opposed to a BBC One trailer right afterwards. Or right after Unleashed in the case of the one for a while beyond or after the Star Beasts Unleashed. Anyway, so that's it from me. Thank you for watching this reaction, and I'll see you guys next time. And stay tuned for new Doctor Who Series 14 / Season 40, yay! / Season 1 in May 2024. Oh, goody, just in time for my 25th birthday. What a fantastic quarter-century birthday present from the BBC and Bad Wolf and Disney. How absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, very happy early 25th. Well, I don't know when in May it'll be, but, you know, a very appreciated, known in advance 25th birthday present. Thank you so much, BBC, Bad Wolf, Disney, etc., Russell, Soph, and everybody else. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.